Hi guys, soon you'll be watching an interview I did with Steve from AllTogetherNow agency. Share with your friends, subscribe to the channel and like this video.
Hi, my name's Steve Parker. I'm Managing Director of AllTogetherNow, which is a content and social media agency based in London.
Great. So what is social media for you?
Well, for me, it's the eyes and ears, for my eyes and ears on the world. My social feeds are the first place I go to for news, for opinion, for entertainment. I actually have to actively check myself now to sometimes go outside my social feeds and check that I'm also listening to other opinions.
Yeah, okay. And why do you think social media has become such a big medium for companies to advertise?
I mean, the first reason is just that's where the audiences are. If you take Facebook, for example, hit 1.8 billion users this year. And it's not just the number or the volume, it's the rich data, it's the social data platforms have on their audiences, so they know their interest, they know their demographics, they know where they live, often they know where they move around, they know what phone and devices they use on, they know other brands they like, and that gives them a huge opportunity to be very targeted in their advertising and their content and their engagement. A good example is for one of our travel clients. It's a hotel brand. We are actually able to target commuters at King's Cross Station when trains are delayed late at night with hotel deals on hotel rooms. That's how targeted you can be.
Yeah, that's very nice. And what are the benefits and challenges of working with social media?
So for me, a main benefit is just the speed at which you can move. Working on behalf of our clients, we can spot an opportunity or a kind of news item, come up with a concept, design it, create it and publish it all within a matter of kind of minutes and hours. And then you can actually see how your audiences are engaging with that content, whether it's positive, whether it's negative, is there anything you would do differently? And for me, that's very exciting. It's a really exciting part of the marketing industry to be working in. In terms of the sort of challenges, social media never stop. People never stop talking. People never stop publishing things. People have opinions 24 hours a day. So for brands, that's a real challenge. How do you resource engaging around the clock? And that's not going to go away as consumers become even more savvy. They choose to interact with brands on social channels and they expect an answer quick, and it's getting even quicker.
On-demand world.
Yes.
Why do you think influencers are becoming such a big tool to advertise products and brands?
I think for influencers, you get lots of different types of ones, but if you take some influencers that have made their name within social media and YouTube and kind of blogging and Instagram, they're extremely close to their audiences. They've built them up themselves, they have a real understanding of what they need, and it's very, very different from conventional advertising. So for a brand to be able to work with an influencer and access their audiences can be a really, really powerful thing, but it has to have the right synergies, it has to have the right fit with the brand. I think sometimes you see successful partnerships is when the audiences really get why that influencer and why that brand are working together, and the brand is not too directive in what the output is. You have to trust the influencer to work on the campaign or the engagement in a way that fits their audience. When it's not quite so successful is when there's a commercial driver for the relationship, there's not a great fit with the audience and the brand, and often the output, can have the opposite effect.
Do you think using influencers is the best way to communicate with consumers?
I would say it is one. It is a kind of weapon within your armory. It's a tool that can be very powerful if used in the right way. I don't think it will ever replace conventional advertising, but it can certainly play a big role if used in the right way.
Okay. What do you know about the term multi-logo?
Yeah, so I'm not really that familiar with the term, I have to say. So you know, I might not be the best to comment on that. Yeah, that's one. I hadn't actually really heard too much about it.
It's quite new.
Yeah, yeah.
I think people usually use a lot multicultural or multinational and things like that.
I mean the cultural importance for brands of how to communicate with different cultures and different geographies is a huge challenge. And I think when you're making a TV ad or you're launching a product, the centralised approach to marketing can be effective. I think when brands have to be able to engage audiences using social, it's a two-way conversation, it's a lot more nuanced. So I think brands should pay a lot more attention into their tone and what they do, and actually put more investment and trust into the local teams on the ground, and then working within the sort of brand guidelines. But I think you have to give local teams a bit more freedom than perhaps you do with conventional advertising.
Why do you think they don't have as much freedom?
I think number one is because it's complex, and it requires a lot more deeper thinking and more detailed kind of guidance, and more of a two-way conversation between central teams and local teams. And sometimes it's to do with budget as well. But having been able to be successful at social media requires multiple skills, and it's time consuming, and sometimes local teams aren't that well funded.
Okay. How much do you think a culture can influence the communication between company and consumer?
I think it's huge. I think culture is such an important factor, and there's lots of examples of where brands have got it wrong. They've not perhaps taken into account culture when they're creating campaigns or naming products. So I think culture is a really important factor.
What is your advice to become successful on social media?
So from a personal level, I would encourage people to really just get involved and be curious. I mean, there's lots of things you can read, there's lots of people you can kind of speak to, but there's no substitute for being active and participating yourself. That's the way you're really going to learn the function of a platform or behaviours, and just connect you with other people, which is essentially what social media is all about. From a sort of professional perspective, I would urge people to think about collaboration. How can social media help other business disciplines? How can we integrate more? We're definitely approaching an era of integration, where we don't want to be building silos. We want to be asking ourselves, how could social media help lower the cost of recruitment? How could social media improve the customer experience and resolve customer service issues? How can social data feed into product development? What other ways can we target people that are more relevant? I mean, ad blocking is a huge issue for the industry. So how can we be more relevant and more focused on the customer, on the kind of end audience?
Thank you for the interview.
Great. No, nice to talk to you.